ॐ शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। सरस्वति नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणम् सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। नारायण नारायण। स्वरूपानुसंधानाष्टकम्. This text is also known by another name. I think I didn't tell this while introducing the text. It is also known as Vijnana Nauka, another name of the same text. So if you find a text called Vijnana Nauka, it is also Swarupanusandhan. Not a very well-known text, not so known among even the students of Vedanta. So, we are in Shloka 3. We have completed 2. Yadanandarupam prakashaswarupam nirastaprapancham parichchedahinam aham brahma vrityaikagamyam turiyam param brahma nityantadevāhamasmi. Yat Anandarupam. Brahman is Anandarupa. You are Anandarupa. You being Brahman, your Swarupa is Ananda. When we say Ananda, we have to understand it properly, because generally when we hear the word Ananda, we understand it as the happiness that we experience momentarily. It is not the Ananda. The happiness that we experience momentarily is not the true Ananda. The true Ananda is nothing but infinite. The infinity is Ananda. Freedom from limitations is the true Ananda. Therefore, do not seek to experience the Ananda of Brahman as we experience when we eat Rasgulla. It is not the Ananda that you get in a temporary state. It is not so. It is your Swarupa. You are essentially free from all limitations, and that is your Ananda Swarupa. Upanishad is clear about it. Bhuma eva sukham. The limitless is Sukha, is Ananda. When the Upanishad says this, you are Ananda, naturally we get a question, why I am not getting the Ananda? As I said last week in Viveka Chudamani session, I was trying to explain something, then the connection broke. I was talking about a middleman. You know what this middleman does? He hoards any commodity. You can take any commodity, let's say rice. Even if there is abundance of rice available, the farmers have grown adequate rice. This person hoards it. And by hoarding, he creates an artificial scarcity. An artificial scarcity. And when there is scarcity, there is a greater demand and lesser supply. Then the price goes high. Then this middleman sells it for a higher price. Instead of 10 rupees, he sells it for 30 rupees, 40 rupees, 50 rupees. And makes profit. The avidya, the ignorance, is also like a middleman. It hides the Ananda, hides your Swarupa, and creates an artificial scarcity of happiness. Even though there is abundance of happiness within yourself, you being free from all limitations, you feel the scarcity of happiness. And this is an artificial scarcity. And because of the artificial scarcity, you are seeking happiness outside. If I do this, I will be happy. If this happens in my life, I will be happy. But that day never comes. It never comes. Because the avidya middleman doesn't allow it to happen. He wants to keep the scarcity intact. Not he, she. Avidya is she. Avidya is feminine. This avidya madam does not allow the scarcity to come to an end. The avidya retains the scarcity and it wants to make you keep searching for happiness. And you pay a great price all your life. In spite of spending all one's life, one doesn't get happiness. The scarcity continues. Therefore, the only solution to solve this problem of artificial scarcity if it is a true scarcity, you could have tried some other way. But this is not a true scarcity. It is an artificial scarcity. The only way to solve this is to address this basic problem. And the basic problem is the avidya middleman. The self-ignorance. And that is what we are trying to solve in Vedanta. All our efforts are to remove this avidya. Remove the self-ignorance for good. So that you no longer experience the scarcity of happiness. A jnani is free from the scarcity of happiness. And that is why a jnani does not expect for something to happen in his life. No expectations, no seekings. You can find some beautiful verses in Bhagavad Gita in this connection. Yavan artha udapane sarvatas samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanataha. In chapter 2, a beautiful verse. You know, when there is drought, scarcity of water in a village, the people walk all the way 5-6 kilometers to find a small pond, a small water body, and they pull water from that and carry waters in pots. If you go to the villages, even today, even in 21st century, you will find the women walking with the two pots on the head and two pots on this shoulder, two pots on this shoulder, and a baby tied on a pouch, into a pouch on the chest. This is the scenario you find in some villages during summer, during drought. But in the same village, after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, there is adequate rain, then what happens? All the water bodies in the village are filled with water. There is no scarcity of water in the village itself. Then will anybody walk 5 or 6 kilometers to fetch water? No. Because there is abundance of water in the village itself. That is the example Krishna gives to explain a jnani. When he was an ajnani, when he was an ignorant person, it was like walking 5-6 kilometers away to find a small pond somewhere else. With great difficulty, he finds a little bit of happiness. But when he has discovered the inner source of happiness, which is nothing but his own Swarupa, he does not seek it anywhere outside. He does not seek it in relations. He does not seek it in wealth. He doesn't seek it in honor, social status. All seekings come to an end because he has found what he had been seeking in himself. So that is your own Ananda Swarupa. Yad Ananda Rupam. And the second word, Prakasha Swarupam. See, in both these words, you will find one thing common, Rupam or Swarupam. The Ananda and the Prakasha, they are your Swarupa. We have to understand what is the difference between Swarupa and Guna. Guna means attribute. Something may have an attribute, but it is not necessary that the attribute should stay forever. The attribute can keep changing. For example, the color of this cloth is orange, but it doesn't mean that it should be orange always. After a few days, it might fade and it may become lighter, lighter, lighter. And one day it might even become pure white if I keep washing it properly. So the attribute, when you say something is a guna, an attribute, it is not necessary that it should be permanent. But when you say it is Swarupa, it is the very nature, very essence. Swarupa means essential nature. It is different from attribute. Essential nature. Then it does not go away. You are that. Brahman is that. What is Brahman? Ananda. It is not that Brahman has Ananda. Brahman is Ananda. There is no difference between Ananda and Brahman. It's not like the color of this cloth is white. When we say Brahman is Ananda, it is not like cloth is white. It is not so. When I say cloth is white, white is a guna, an attribute, and a cloth is the substance. There is a difference between substance and attribute. But it is not so with the Brahman and Ananda. Brahman is Ananda. It is not that Brahman is a substance and Ananda is an attribute. Please note this point. It is very important. That is why the author uses the word Rupam and Swarupam. It is Ananda Swarupa. There is no separation between the two. That is why you don't have to work to get Ananda. You don't have to produce Ananda. And also, you don't have the fear of losing the Ananda. If something is my attribute, I can lose it anytime. Now I am in good health. That doesn't mean I should remain in good health always. It is my present attribute. After a few days I may get COVID, who knows? So, Brahman is Ananda and it is Prakasha. Prakasha Swarupam. Even Prakasha is Swarupa. What is Prakasha? Light. Brahman is of the nature of light. Somebody can charismatically say this. Light. The light is there everywhere. But we should understand what light means. Many people say God is light, Brahman is light, self is light. But what is light? What does the Vedanta intend when it uses the word light? It is not the physical light. If I say Brahman is light, after a few days somebody might ask me, Swamiji, I saw a light during meditation. Is it Brahman? If you see something, it is not Brahman. If you see something, it is not Atma. Because whatever you see is object. And the object cannot be Atma. It is Anatma. So what is light? In Vedantic parlance, light means that because of which something becomes evident. The one which makes things evident is called light. Even the physical light, the sunlight or moonlight or tube light. Why it is called light? Because it makes things evident. The things in front of me become visible, become evident because of this light, the physical light. But the physical light is not enough. Suppose there is plenty of light in the whole world and nobody has eyes. There is plenty of light in the world, but nobody has eyes. Is the light of any use? The light is of no use. Because even to make the light evident, I need my eyes. Likewise, everything in the universe is ultimately made evident by the consciousness. Chaitanya. It is not even my mind. In fact, the whole world becomes evident to me because I have a mind. Everything that is there in the world, whether it is galaxy, whether it is America, whether it is mountain or anything in the world, where is it for me? It is there for me because I have it in the mind. If it is not in my mind, it is as good as absent for me. If it has not entered my mind, I am not aware of it. Therefore, what makes things evident to me is my mind. The objects have to enter my mind and then it becomes evident. But even this mind, what makes this mind evident to me? It is me, the Atma, the Chaitanya. Even the presence and absence of mind, even the presence and absence of the thoughts become evident to the Chaitanya. To the consciousness, which is nothing but myself. That is why the Atma is the Jyotihi, the Prakasha, the ultimate prakasha. You can use the word prakasha or you can use the word jyotihi. Jyotisham jyotihi. Mundakopanishad says, Tachubhram jyotisham jyotihi. It is the light of all lights. Because every other light becomes evident because of this one light, that is Atma. Jyotisham jyotihi. So everything becomes evident because of this light. What makes this light evident? What makes the Chaitanya evident? The answer is nothing can make it evident. No other light can illumine the Atma light, the Chaitanya light. And no light needs to illumine the Chaitanya light also, because it is self-evident. You don't need another light to light up, to illumine the light of Atma. Because without being evident, it cannot make other things evident. That is why in Vedanta, the Atma is called Swayam Jyotihi or Swaprakashaha or Swayam Prakasha. There are three words with the same meaning: Swayam Jyotihi, Swaprakashaha or Swayam Prakasha. It is the one light which doesn't need the help of another light. Everything else needs another light. Even the brightest sunlight need another light, which is your eyes. But the Atma doesn't need any other light. The Acharyas define Swayam Jyoti or Swaprakasha as Svetara Aprakashyatve Sati Svetara Sarva Prakashakaha. Svetara Aprakashya, Swa Itara Aprakashya. It is not illumined by anything other than itself. Swa Itara means other than itself. Aprakashya, it is not illumined. This is one condition. The other condition is Svetara Sarva Prakashakaha. It illumines everything other than itself. It is not illumined by anything, but it illumines everything else. That is Swayam Jyotihi or Swaprakasha. And there is only one Swaprakasha, that is you, the Atma. Therefore, Prakasha Swarupam means Chaitanya Swarupam ityartha. This Swaprakasha itself is called Chaitanya in the Vedanta Shastra. What we generally translate as consciousness. or awareness. Here we should be careful in understanding the awareness or consciousness does not mean the cognition in our mind. The cognition comes and goes, but the consciousness is always there. It does not change. It is also your Swarupa. No change. And it doesn't come and go. You are always a shining, always consciousness, always Chaitanya Swarupa. Even in deep sleep. What sleeps in deep sleep? You don't sleep. The Chaitanya doesn't sleep. Then what sleeps? Your mind sleeps. The mind is dormant. It goes to sleep mode. Just like your computer. All softwares, they wind up and go to sleep mode. Likewise, when you sleep, all your senses, your mind, everything becomes dormant, inactive. There is no cognition. There is no thought. But you are there. The Chaitanya is shining. The Chaitanya is witnessing even the sleep, the absence of the functioning of mind. That is why when you wake up, you are able to say, Na kinchidavedisham sukhamahamaswapsam. I didn't know anything. I slept happily. How do you know this? How do you know I didn't know anything? Because you were there. The absence of knowledge, the absence of cognition was witnessed. You were witnessing it. That is why you are able to say, I didn't know anything. This is some more food for thought. Please think about it. This is vichara. All that we discuss in Vedanta is vichara. Vicharya Swarupam. We have seen in the previous verse. Vastu Siddhir Vicharena. Without vichara, without inquiry, one cannot understand the truth. So vichara is very important. One has to think. Just listening is not going to work. It is not a satsang. It is not a katha. In katha, there is no need for vichara. You need a good, good emotion, good attitude, good bhava. But we are not doing katha. We are doing vichara. Inquiry, analysis, based on our own experiences and based on the Shastra. And both have to be aligned. We have to find the alignment between the Shastra and what we see in our life. So Prakasha Swarupam, even Prakasha is your Swarupa. It's not that you get Prakasha once in a while. Prakasha is not an attribute. It is also your Swarupa. You are Prakasha. You are Chaitanya. You are Chit. Even Chaitanya is not an attribute. It is you, Swarupa. Nirasta prapancham parichhedahinam. Second quarter. Nirasta prapancham parichhedahinam. Let us take the word parichhedahinam first. Free from all limitations. Parichheda means limitation. We talk about Trividha Parichheda, Desha Parichheda, Kala Parichheda, and Vastu Parichheda. Limitation in terms of space, Desha Parichheda. Limitation in terms of time, Kala Parichheda. And limitation in terms of being a given object, Vastu Parichheda. The Brahman is free from all three limitations. Free from Desha Parichheda, free from Kala Parichheda, and free from Vastu Parichheda. It means it is free from all limitations in all respects. Infinite. If it is infinite, I am deliberately not expanding these words, Desha Parichheda, Kala Parichheda, because you are quite familiar with them. All are old students. Senior students, not old students, senior students. So, Parichhedahinam. If Brahman is free from all limitations, if Brahman is infinite, then there is no room for another. Because if there is an infinite, it doesn't give room to another thing. There cannot be another substance. If one substance is infinite, where is the room for another substance? Whether finite or infinite, it is not possible. Therefore, the very fact that Brahman is infinite leads to the conclusion that Brahman is Ekameva Advitiyam, one without a second. Advitiyam, there is no second. There cannot be a second Brahman and there cannot be a second non-Brahman also. If there is no other thing than Brahman, there is no second Brahman and there is no second non-Brahman, means there is nothing other than Brahman. If there is nothing other than Brahman, then how do you account for our experience of the world? We see so many other things. We see the computer, we see the table, we see our own selves, our bodies. There is duality. There is universe. How do you account for the universe? The Vedanta makes a claim that there is only Brahman. And there cannot be a universe. Because if there is a universe, that means there is a duality. And if there is a duality, Brahman will get limited. The universe will limit Brahman and Brahman will limit the universe. Therefore, there is no room for the universe. That is why Nirasta Prapancham, the very word Paricheda Heenam, leads to Nirasta Prapancham. Free from world. Prapancha or Jagat means the universe. All objects that we see. Nirasta Prapancham or Nishprapancham. In Mandukya Upanishad, we find the word Prapanchopashamam. Prapanchopashamam shantam shivamadvaitam chaturtham manyante. It is free from the world. Neither inside Brahman nor outside Brahman there can be a world. There can be a universe. Inside Brahman there cannot be a universe. Because Brahman has no parts. And Brahman doesn't have a stomach where he can hold the universe. There is no cavity. There is no part. Therefore, inside Brahman, there cannot be a universe. And outside Brahman, there cannot be a universe. Because there is no outside. The inside-outside difference is there if there is a limitation. If there is no limitation, there is no question of difference. Which is inside, which is outside, which is east, which is west. You cannot ask these questions when it comes to Brahman. Therefore, Nirasta Prapancham, Nishprapancham. So there is only Brahman without a prapancha. Nishprapancha. Then the student asked this question again. Then how do you account for the world? Because for the student, the world is very much real. The student can comprehend only the world at present. And the student cannot comprehend the Brahman because Brahman is not visible to this person. That is why the Vedanta has to come down, condescend to where the student is. And address the subject matter from the student's point of view. The Vedanta has to start from the student's point of view and lead the student step by step to the Nishprapancha Brahma. That is why we have a methodology. And the methodology is formed with the two stages. Two stages of teaching, or two aspects of the teaching. It is called Adhyaropa and Apavada. Adhyaropapavadabhyam Nishprapancham Prapanchate. Adhyaropa Apavadabhyam. With the help of Adhyaropa and Apavada, Nishprapancham Prapanchate. The Nishprapancha Brahma is revealed, Prapanchate, is explained, is conveyed. So we have Adhyaropa. Yes, you see the world. That is how Vedanta starts. Okay, let's accept the world for time being. Let's accept the prapancha for the time being. But where has this prapancha come from? What is the cause of this prapancha? That is how we begin with. And the Vedanta says, this prapancha has come from Brahman. Then there is a whole discussion of Srishti, creation. And creation is an Adhyaropa. Now you understand what is Adhyaropa. The Shruti is talking from the standpoint of the student. That is Adhyaropa. Accepting the world for the time being. Yes, what you see is real. Let's explain it. It is Adhyaropa. And then ultimately, the Shruti takes the student to a point where the Shruti negates everything. The Vedanta negates everything. The universe is unreal, mithya, Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya. This is Apavada. Apavada means negation. The universe is mithya. And when the universe is negated, even your body is negated. Your mind is negated. Your individuality is negated. Your doership and enjoyerships are negated. Then what remains in you? Jiva Brahmaivana Paraha. You, the one who thought yourself to be a Jiva, who thought yourself to be a limited individual, is nothing other than the Brahman. That is how the teaching progresses. All teaching happens through Adhyaropa and Apavada. Initially there is Adhyaropa. You can take up any section of the Upanishads, any section of Vedanta. There is Adhyaropa initially, and then there is Apavada. It's a very interesting methodology. And someone explained this with a story. Well, let me tell the story. There was a drunkard. One day, generally he would go to the bar and drink. One day he didn't go to the bar. He invited all his friends, other drinking friends. Let's have drinks at home. He invited other friends. Then some of his friends came. And this person, he drank heavily and he was very much intoxicated, very much drunk. I am very poor in these terminologies, okay? Please pardon my terminologies. Drunk, intoxicated, I don't know the present slang words because I am not very acquainted with the modern sophisticated culture. I am not so civilized and not socialized. I have not socialized enough. So, he was heavily drunk. And then he says, he thinks, because of his intoxication, he thinks that he is sitting in the bar. He is not at his home. And then he asks his friends, please take me home. And then the friends tell him, you are already sitting at your home. But he doesn't agree. No, I am not at home. I am in the bar. Please take me home. What will the friends do? The friends are not able to convince him that you are already at home. Then the friend said, yes, you are not at home. You are sitting in the bar. The friends accept. This is adhyaropa. The friends are doing adhyaropa. Yes, you are in the bar. Then let's go home. Come. The friends lift him, holding his hands. Two people. And they take him and put him into the car. And they drive him around in a circle. And then they come back to the same place. And then they take him outside the car. And then they tell him, yes, now you have come to your home. This is apavada. Now you are at home. Apavada. So this is the method of adhyaropa and apavada. This intoxicated jiva, the jiva is intoxicated with avidya, with ignorance, and he thinks I am just a jiva and the world is real. And if you just say, no, this is not real, there is only Brahman and you are Brahman, this ignorant jiva is not going to accept very soon. Just like the drunk person. Therefore, there is a methodology. There is a way of communicating the truth. The student has to be led to a point where he is able to see the truth. That is why we have the prakriyas. There is something called prakriya. There are many methodologies of communicating the truth with the convincing logics, accounting for all our experiences, accounting for all that we come across, and finally making one see the ultimate. That is what we study year after year in all these texts. They are nothing but prakriya. The truth is made clearer and clearer with various methodologies of communication. So, nirasta prapancha. The prapancha is not there in reality. From the absolute standpoint, there is no prapancha. There is only Brahman, only one reality. But then there is a vyavaharika prapancha. From the standpoint of a lesser reality, we experience the prapancha. As far as our experience is concerned, there is a prapancha. That is why we call it vyavaharika. But is there prapancha which is as real as Brahman? Is there a universe which is as real as your true self? The answer is no. The universe is a lesser reality, and you, the Atma, you, the Brahman, is the greatest reality, the ultimate truth. Therefore, the universe, which belongs to a lesser order of reality, cannot affect you, the absolute reality. The universe which is mithya does not affect you, who is Satya. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.